What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. As always, I like to say you're best, you're blessed, you're best. You always do your best. You're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles and a solution for someone's problem. I was, because we're in 2018 now, but the 2019 now. Yeah, I was the 2018 winner of the Innovation Award handed out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we're here having another epic conversation because this is the home of epic conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations on the Get Vocal platform and a whole bunch of other platforms. But the home tonight is Get Vocal. Want to thank already in the Get Vocal room, Tony, Dr. Tachi, and Big Bad Brad. I'm good at today. One of those things. And also like to thank on the Periscope and the platform that Serena and Dr. Tachi love so much. I've got Bob W. I think that may be Bobby. And U4 Site. So thanks everyone for jumping on early. We're going to have another epic conversation. Let me just check one other quick thing before we go any further because I got to say hello to any people that are on YouTube. And nobody yet, but I know they're going to come. Let's get to it. Let's have some fun. Let's have some good stuff. This lady has not been on the Dr. Vibe show visually for a while, but she's always around, especially when I'm streaming on YouTube. Her name is Serena Wills. She's a native New Yorker and currently resides in the Washington, D.C. area. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Policy Studies from Syracuse University. Interesting. You know that Leah's a graduate of Syracuse too, right?
How we met.
Duh. I should know that by now. And
4 years.
There you go. And an MPA from Virginia Tech studying for her MA in Health and Wellness Coaching. Have you got that now?
That's done now. Finished.
Yay! Congratulations.
Yeah, August.
Right. Good stuff. So we're opening up on a celebration. This is great. She's a nonprofit guru, a published author, and a spoken word artist. Her previous publications include her first poetry book, titled Reconstruction Pieces of Life, Volume 1, was released in 2014 and is available on her website, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble. Excuse me. She's also published in numerous anthologies and is contributing writer, health, wellness blogger for online magazines and websites. She's a mother to a beautiful son who's under lockdown tonight because he wasn't behaving today, and is an advocate for ovarian cancer, where we first had her on the Dr. Vibe show, GYN Cancers, HIV, AIDS, Lymphoma, and Lyme Disease research, and is a member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, which is also the same sorority as Dr. Tachi and Leah. So they got their own little posse happening, folks. Right? They got their own little posse happening. They got it on lockdown. They got Dr. Vibe on lockdown. And as Tachi just said, whoop whoop.
Yeah.
So, and one other thing I will share with you, she's also the author of this book.
Yay. Yes.
Called Crying Tears of Teal. And somewhere in the journey tonight, we'll just get her to speak a little bit about that. Yeah. But tonight, when we first had a conversation way back, seems like way back now, we talked about this conversation topic. I said, one day we have to have Serena chat about it because it's something that a lot of people don't talk about. And a lot of times they don't deal with it. It hits them in the face, like literally hits them right in the face. So I'd like to say tonight, welcome back, Serena. You're going to be talking about taking care of your elders. And this is going to be an incredible conversation. How have you been?
I've been good. Just wanted to add, got the master's in August. MA in Health and Wellness Coaching, but I'm also now a national board certified health and wellness coach. So I passed my board exams in November. Last fall was hectic, but I passed my boards and this is great. So
respect.
Doing good things here.
So what is it like? What is it like taking a break? Yeah, right.
No breaks.
No breaks. Well, I also have to just publicly put it out here thank you for all the support you provide on all my conversations and you get a chance to be part of it. It's appreciated and not taken for granted. And I don't take it for granted. And you always provide such insightful, meaningful commentary.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, it's epic conversations. Thank you
so much. There we go. Epic conversations. I love it. Well, let's get to our conversation this evening.
Okay.
Why did you want to chat about this tonight?
Well, first of all, I want to just give a brief shout out. I'm missing a partner in crime tonight. So Tara Lessard, who's usually by my side, she might be watching, she may chime on, but she has been going through another bout of cancer.
Oh.
So she is currently, as we speak, getting chemotherapy as we speak. But she is such a dynamic rock star. She's just amazing. I mean, she is just battling this thing toe to toe. So just wanted to give her huge shout out, lots of prayers, lots of love. As we talk about this thing of caregiving, for elders and caregiving for younger people and children, that's a whole different conversation. I'm sure her mother could probably come on board and talk about that because that's a whole different dynamic. But definitely want to say hi to her, and she's missed tonight.
Absolutely. And what I'm going to do in the comments section on the Get Vocal platform, I'm going to provide the links of the two epic conversations that both of them have been on. And folks, if you do have a chance, I'm going to be totally transparent. I knew nothing about ovarian cancer until Serena and Tara really just rocked the house about ovarian cancer. So my prayers are with Tara, and I'm actually going to send her an email after we're finished.
Thank you. Yeah. So we're here for is to raise awareness, and now with the caregiving aspect, and thank you for bringing up my book, Crying Tears of Teal, because I talk poetically about my caregiving journey through my book that I wrote for just our journey that I went through with my mom. So just to rewind time, and actually, it's 2019, so almost 10 years ago. And like you were saying before, some of us don't become caregivers until it's slapped in our face. We don't prepare for it. We hear about it. We see our friends and family go through it, but we don't really prep for it. And that's what happened to us. It was no preparation. There were some signs here and there that my mom was shooting at me, just saying, I need to go to the doctor, just not feeling myself. It's probably just menopause. But she was not a person that liked to go to the doctor at all. Just annual checkups, regular checkups, follow-ups, just wasn't her thing. So August 2009 is when the diagnosis came after she was in the ER twice. The first time they misdiagnosed her poorly, and basically said, oh, you just have some constipation and gas, just go home, here's some Imodium AD, and go home. And they sent her home with Imodium AD. The next time she was in the ER is when they did a sonogram, ultrasounds, the whole 9 yards, and found the tumors in her ovaries, her stomach had already, spread itself throughout her body. And she was diagnosed, I'll never forget the day, August 9th, 2009, with stage 4 ovarian cancer. So at that time, my mom was never married. She's a single mom. At the time, it was my grandmother, and God bless her heart, she'll be 95 in May. She's rocking and rolling.
And she's going strong.
Yeah, she's going strong. Okay, she's really doing great things and really, in good health. But, this is where it gets real because she wasn't dating anyone, and I am her only biological child. I have my sister, Christina, but she is diagnosed with autism. She was born to a crack-addicted mother originally, and my mom adopted her when she was a baby, and she adopted my other sister, but God rest her soul, she died 2.5 years before my mother passed away. So we're still going through the loss of my sister, and then my mom gets diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So my grandmother, and I don't blame her, said that she just could not. She couldn't be her caregiver. She was already 85 years old. and she had already buried two of her daughters. So my grandmother is the one that has already lost children, and she's outliving her children. So it came down to me. I was the one who had to care for my mother. And I have an aunt, my mom's sister, my Aunt Hilda, and today's her birthday. Happy birthday, Aunt Hilda. She was also a caregiver to my mom, because I didn't live in New York. I lived down here in the DC area. My mom lived in Queens, New York, and she had to stay in New York. You know, she just thought, oh, I'll just go to the hospital, get some chemo, and come home. That was what she thought. And when she checked in the hospital for the final time, August 15th, 2009, she never left. It was between the hospital, a nursing home, rehab. That was her whole life for 6 months, predominantly in the hospital. Her cancer was very advanced. The fluid had already gotten down to her, all the way down to her legs and feet, all the way up into her chest and her lungs. And we had a real conversation. We had a very real conversation when she was diagnosed, and she basically told me what to do, you know, when she passes away, not if, but when. And she was only 60. So let's throw that in there too, 60 years old. And we were planning a cruise for her 60th birthday. I was 34 when I became a caregiver to her. So I wanted to talk about caregivers and just caregiving support, because it's needed. There needs to be more awareness. And as much as we don't want to talk about it, people need to prepare for it. If you still have parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, this is a conversation that needs to be had. That's not being, you know, said around the table or at all until you're slapped in the face with it.
Fully agreed. And what I'm going to do on the Get Vocal platform, I wanted to have you spend some time sharing about your years with your mother, and especially her final years. I'm going to open up the Get Vocal room. So if anyone wants to come in and ask questions, join the conversation, you're certainly now more than welcome to. So during that time, Serena, how did you manage? What were responsibilities were put on you that you never thought would ever be on you?
Never even thought of. Yeah, so like I said, I was 34. And another thing was I had just moved back to the area. I was in Texas for 3.5 years. So my mom got diagnosed 1 month after I moved back. It was only 30 days from the date I moved back. So I was still trying to get my life together. I was still trying to get a job. I was still unpacking. So my life literally went from planning this cruise to, okay, I have to meet with her doctors. I was her deemed as her health proxy. We had to fill out gobs of paperwork. I mean, just tons of paperwork. Another thing to throw in there too is that my mother let her life insurance lapse. So she had no life insurance. And I didn't find that out until she was sick in the hospital. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. She was the one where everybody has their filing system. She was the I call it the file piler, file piles, where you have like 15 stacks on your table. You know where stuff is, but if something happens to you, no one else knows where your birth certificate is, for example, or where is your medical insurance card, or, you know, where do you keep your, you know, bank statements, just typical paperwork, you know, I had to find. So it went from just being, you know, this social 34-year-old in the DC area to driving up and down the road. I thank God for friends. I had a wonderful friend, Renee, who was back and forth a lot to New York. So she would just say, jump in the car. And literally almost every weekend for 6 months, I was in New York. I practically lived there. So I lived there part-time pretty much. And when the doctors would call and say, we need you here, it'd be a Wednesday morning, I would just have to leave work and find a way to get to New York. So that's what my life turned into overnight, literally overnight. So it really, and it goes fast. You don't have really time to think. And that's when I realized that I can't do this alone. And thank goodness for my Aunt Hilda, who lives in Queens, New York. So she was the one visiting my mother, would physically go when I couldn't get there. And she was there almost daily, visiting my mom. But it really was a lot. And I learned a lot very quickly. And the one thing I did learn was we can't do this alone. And that's when I reached out. And a friend of mine said there's a great nonprofit in Fairfax, Virginia called Life with Cancer. And they not only have support groups or just support for people with cancer, but they have support for their families and caregivers. And I think you can really benefit from them. Okay. And that's what I did. I reached out, and I was breaking down at that point. Like, I need somebody to talk to, a counselor, I need something. And I reached out to my church home as well, Ebenezer AME in Fort Washington, Maryland. They were very just critical in this process. They had counselors there as well. But I just could not do this alone. I can't keep feelings inside of myself and try to act like everything is fine. Because I was also falling apart. I wasn't taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my mom, but I picked myself to the curb in the process, and that's what happens with a lot of caregivers.
Wow, that's you're talking about it like it just happened yesterday in some points when I feel you sharing with us.
Yeah, it feels like it. It really, I look back like I can't believe we're coming up on her. Like it was 9 years last month. Last month made 9 years she's been gone already. And it doesn't feel like it sometimes. And that's what caregivers go through. Caregivers that, unfortunately, like me, lose their loved ones, because you have some caregivers that don't have to go through what I'm going through afterwards. The other person gets better. And even then there's that aftermath, because there's healing that has to happen. But a lot of it does feel like it was just last week. Doctors calling me at 4:00 in the morning on my cell phone, talking to me, because there were moments where they said we might lose her.
Right.
I would get calls like that in the middle of the night and get up there and she was fine. And, there were a couple of calls like that where, the things were dropping, one of her organs were failing and levels were not, accurate. So it was, there was a lot of trying times. Us as a family, we all went through it together. She has a younger brother, my uncle, and he would always tell me I envision growing old with my siblings, not having to go through this.
Wow. Tony, you have joined us. Do you have any questions? What's been shared so far?
I had a question for Serena, and she's actually hit on my question quite a lot with what she's talked about since I've hopped in. But the main question I was wanting to know is, for people who are in the situation where they have to take care of the elders, but they are in situations where they have to take care of themselves. They have their own health issues. With me, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but I have a lot of health issues. I'm technically disabled according to the government, and and I get a lot of help from my family because of that. But it is getting to the point that I'm seeing some of the things with my mother that I'm starting to wonder. Okay, she's starting to get in some of these areas that I might have to start taking care of her myself, along with my brother. It's not there yet, but it may be. What would you advise for my situation as far as getting the help that I would need for if it comes to that?
Well, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it, because this is it's a sensitive topic, and I'm glad you're thinking about it now as you're starting to see it sounds like just some signs here and there. But as you said, you have your own health issues you're dealing with. The one thing, and I was going back, like you were saying, I started touching on it, was when you're caregiving for someone, sometimes you let yourself go in the process and you give your all to that person. And it sounds strange, but there has to be balance. it's a balancing act, literally every day. And there were a couple of people I met who, as you were stating, had their own health situations. Or one woman I met, she said, I had cancer, healed from it, and now my husband has it. She was like, and I'm still healing from those symptoms, and just, I'm in remission, but there's still doctor's appointments. And she never let go of her appointments. That's the one thing I would just advise is you have to take care of yourself so you could take care of your mom.
Yeah.
That's so important. And to just not let it fall to the wayside, because that's what was happening with me. Even though I was healthy, there were certain things like I was forgetting to eat. Like I would just let hours.
Pretty much what I would ask is there any governmental assistance for people like me who is under governmental help, but might have to get into a situation where, I might have to take care of my mother?
Yeah, I know with my mom, we were looking at would Medicare jump in? What were our options? Especially with insurance being the way it is. That is a really good question. I know there's a lot of nonprofits out there that jump in. I mean, they like the counseling. I mean, I tried to go through the government, try to see if I could get services through them. And of course, when I went through the nonprofit, I talked about it was free. It was 1, 2, 3. They actually a lot of nonprofits have groups. This particular one has groups within the hospitals. So they were meeting the families at the hospital and really would have, whether it's one-on-one dialogue or counseling. In your case, could you help me find resources so I can help myself to help my mother?
Yeah.
And have caseworkers there to help. So that might be your best bet, is to look for a nonprofit, because no offense to the government, but sometimes you may be waiting and waiting and waiting, and you're like, I need answers now. I can't wait 6 to 8 weeks for you to return my call or my letter. But, I would talk to a hospital if you're thinking of where your mother lives, and just get the conversation started. Is there a caseworker I can talk to? Do y'all have these resources there? Some of them might already have the resources you need there at a hospital or a rehab or things of that nature. So I would go that route first and see if they know of any government backdoor or any direct agency like Health and Human Services, for example, that might be able to help you.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it, and I really do. I appreciate you helping out a lot, and appreciate Serena. Thank you for letting me have a little bit of time and ask my question.
Oh, anytime. If you need to talk afterward, post my information up, and feel free to contact me.
And I'll do that.
Thank you. Thanks, Tony. Big Bad Brad is saying should get Medicaid at the least.
Yeah, and that was another, and I was actually going to get to that when we talk about insurance. So my mom, at the point she was out, like I was telling you, I was looking for her insurance cards. I found my sister's, I even found the one that had passed away. I found all of her stuff, and I'm like, where's my mom's Medicaid? So I remember she had Medicaid at one point. Well, Medicaid had changed the rules, and they dropped her. They wanted her to get some it's called managed care or private insurance. And so at the time when she went into the hospital, she had no medical insurance.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding. So when we got to the hospital, I mean, thank goodness the caseworker, like I was telling Tony, there's caseworkers there. They're on it. They know how to get around the system way faster than us. So they actually filed for emergency Medicaid for my mother. She was instantly granted, and they were able to backdate it to the time she first entered.
Wow.
Like I was saying, we couldn't do that, but these caseworkers, and the one we were blessed with, they knew their stuff. They had friends in the system, and they said, look, this woman was dropped. She's been trying to get insurance, and now she has stage 4 cancer, and she has no insurance. So yeah, she was dropped. And luckily picked back up. And I tell people when she passed away, the only medical bill I had was a $25 bill.
You're
And that
kidding.
was, they covered everything from tooth to nail, everything.
Well, interesting. Big Brad is saying my mother-in-law has dementia and is in a nursing home, and Medicaid pays for her care.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Excellent.
everything. I mean, I was looking at the medical bills because they send you the bill even though you're not paying for it. And I mean, one bill was like $125,000.
What?
Yeah,
Hold
I
on.
mean,
Hold on. How $125,000? How long ago?
this was 2009, 2010.
How much do you think that would be now?
Probably double or triple by now.
At least. At least.
What some people don't know is the hospitals charge, it's like a hotel. They charge you per night. So every night you're there, you get charged. Every meal you eat, of course, I mean, and the TV doesn't even come with that. You got to get that on your own. But this is just the around the clock care in her case, the chemo that she received, the medications she received. But that was just one bill by itself. It was like $125,000. I
Well,
will never get that bill. I've never seen a medical bill like that. And everything was separated by line items. It was pages and pages long.
wow.
That was just from the hospital. That didn't cover the nursing home and the other hospital she stayed at for a little while. That was just the one hospital.
Wow. Just before we go on here, this is getting personal in an interesting way. Coma Ritz Kellogg is saying my mom has stage 4 ovarian cancer. You've got me crying right now.
Sorry. It's hard. It is a cancer that is not talked about enough. It's a cancer that's not easily diagnosed. Because I tell people, your ovaries, women's ovaries, they're just so deep in our cavity, you can't feel the tumor,
I think what would be a good idea is I think we do an update on ovarian cancer when Tara has the strength.
Yeah.
We could have it on this platform because people, you ain't ready for Tara. Tara is a fireball, and you will appreciate her so much. So I will note that and you keep me in the loop when she's well enough, has enough energy.
Yeah, I mean, she's, like you said, she's a fireball. I mean, her testimony, real quick, is that she had stage 4 ovarian cancer and was basically given, oh, you got maybe about a year or two, if that, to live. And she beat it. It took a lot out of her. She beat she beat ovarian cancer. What she's dealing with now is pelvic cancer, which probably might have stemmed from the ovarian cancer.
Yeah.
But she was a powerhouse, and like she tells people, I was supposed to be dead by now according to doctors, but you see, I'm still here. So that's what she tells people. And her whole healing journey now is that she's just believing in healing and that there's no other choice. But, I'm really sorry to hear about that. Yeah, the links, would be great for them to watch our talks about ovarian cancer to help understand it more. Because it is fast moving. That's the other thing too, it's a fast moving cancer. So.
Just want to shout out here Shannon, who is at work, working this overnight, trying not to fall asleep. Glad she caught a bit. And I'd like to shout out to Valencia. Thank you so much. I think you may be a first timer. You know Valencia?
She has a show called Rhythm of Yoga, and I was on her show in December.
Okay.
And it comes
Welcome, Valencia. Welcome. And Rick Kellogg is saying that's a very positive thing to hear and made me feel a little better. We are happy to hear that. And anyone who wants to jump in to the Get Vocal room, if you want to share any stories or ask questions, Serena doesn't have all the answers, but she's lived it. And I'm sure one or two people here are dealing with it right now. And it's just information that will help all of us. So don't be afraid to jump into the room if you feel comfortable, per se. Are you encountering more and more people that you associate with going through or getting ready to deal with taking care of their elders?
Yes, because the one reality that we all have is that our parents and grandparents are getting older. And like I said, and if you have extended family like aunts, uncles, that elder cousin that took care of you. And I mean, the blessing is they're getting older. Like my grandmother, she'll be 95, Mother's Day weekend, and is in assisted living, does not need a nurse or anybody to take care of her. You know, she's just there as a backup. Let's just put it that way. She's in assisted living, but she gets her 3 meals a day, and she has her apartment. She self-medicates. She goes to the hairdresser every month. I mean, she's a powerhouse, but there are a lot of other friends of hers that are in there that aren't so fortunate, and they need a lot of help. I mean, when I visit her, it brings you to tears, the amount of elders that, just need a lot of assistance. You see their families there, but I do have more friends and loved ones who are entering this realm of being a caregiver, and they're reaching out to me naturally, which I'm grateful for. I'm grateful I can talk about this and help as many people as I can, because I've been through a couple of support groups and just know what I went through personally in this journey, because it can be isolating and it can get very lonely.
So when you went through this journey, you mentioned the support of family. How important was that in getting you through all of this?
It was a lot. It meant the world to me. You had a couple of family members, some people, and actually I have like tips to give caregivers, because I was actually upset when I would tell people my mom has stage 4 cancer, and they would say, "Oh, we're so sorry," and then you wouldn't hear from them again sometimes, like, "Oh, okay." You were just expecting them to embrace you, and it's because everybody can't handle sickness. Everybody can't handle, I mean, yes, death is natural, but a lot of people shy away from it all. And there were some people I just didn't even hear from anymore until my mom passed away. Then we had the family members that were they were in it, for you. And I mean, I consider some of my friends, my family, we go back, to the 80s together, and we're visiting my mom on a regular basis. We talk with her, read to her, watch TV, watch the game shows with her, pray for us. And that really meant the world to me. So I had to really, not to say ignore the people that just couldn't deal with it, but I couldn't focus on them anymore. And I just wanted to be grateful for the ones that were there for us. Like I said, my aunt Hilda is a rock star. I mean, she was up at that hospital. If I was having a problem with the hospital, couldn't get in touch with someone, or the one time I got the rude and abrupt nurse that got on the phone with me, and my aunt just jumped in a cab and was there within 10 minutes and asked to talk to that nurse, and we got her written up because her bedside manner was awful and she played with the wrong family. But that's what we had to do. Now, in regards to being my mother's caregiver, as I said, my grandmother was already 85 when this happened. So we had to stay strong for her too, mentally and emotionally, spiritually. She was just at a complete loss. And she was like, "I can't believe I'm losing a third daughter," Yeah. So, but she was, my grandmother would go and visit. She would bring my sister, because as I stated, I have a sister, Christina, who has severe autism. She can never take care of her, like she can't live alone, ever. So my grandmother would take her to the hospital so she could go see my mom. So you don't need a whole lot of people around you at this time. If you do have a lot of people, great. If you have a few, that's wonderful. Just embrace who you do have, because family and friends are everything.
You've given some really good wisdom here, and I just want you to share with the audience how to deal with the people that are not the people you expect to be with you, that are not with you during this? What's your words of wisdom on how to deal with that?
Yeah, so there were a couple of friendships that I expected more from them. And as I tell people, everybody can't deal with sickness and illness. So it's just the how. I just tell people, if you can't deal with it, just say it as nicely as possible. Like, I'm going to be praying for you, praying for your family. I don't really deal well with illness. That's a challenge I have to get through, but I'm here for you. But I'm just kind of not, I don't say not here for you, but just say it instead of just vanishing off the planet until things happen. But you can't really put
tonight?
Oh, we got Paul. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Paul is calling from his hot tub.
Yeah,
Hey.
I need it right now because I worked hard today. I was out running hoses all over my property to drain my pool. So I actually worked hard today. I did hard manual labor for a change.
Oh, well, you deserve that hot tub, Paul.
Well, thanks for chiming in, Paul. What would you like to share with us?
Well, that I was out in the outdoors all day, and it's a beautiful day, or beautiful evening here in Austin, Texas, where we're just about ready to start South by Southwest tomorrow.
That is correct.
Yeah.
So
very nice. In regards to this subject, do you have anything you'd like to share about taking care of your elders? Is that something? Well, I don't know. Well, maybe you do have. Maybe there are elders that you know of, or is there anything in place if it does happen, you go into some bad health? Are there mechanisms in place for you to have yourself taken care of?
Well, my cousin Jean, who was just died about 3 weeks ago, she was 96.
Oh,
and she was
sorry.
Hollywood star. She did commercials, and she had six successful TV series. So she was fortunate to have good care. She had 2 caregivers living at her house up in the Hollywood Hills, so she did okay. But I'd say 96 is pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays, that's excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How about, do you have anything in place yourself, Paul, if anything unfortunately would happen in regards to your health?
My wife, she's a former nurse. She's very caring and very good at taking care of people. If she can stay healthy, and if I start to degrade first, it's going to be up to her to help me. If she starts to fade, then I'm going to have to help her. I guess. I guess that's the way it goes, in our family.
Excellent.
That's a good point, Paul.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to let you go because your volume is a little low. But maybe you're moving closer. Maybe we'll hear you better.
How about now? Is that better?
It's a little bit better, but now your face is exploding on the screen. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you go because the little bit of the audio. But I thank you for jumping in, and enjoy South by Southwest.
Yes.
All right.
Enjoy
it, and take care, y'all. Have a good show tonight, and I'll catch you next time. 7-3.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Okay, bye.
All right. So there we are. We have Paul in his hot tub,
Right.
enjoying, getting ready to enjoy South by Southwest. Hey, Dre, what is up? If you want to jump in, come and join the conversation. Serena, so these days, now we're talking 2009, and look at now how much health costs have just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
like now it must be, think about it now. If you look at what you went through 2009, what would you feel like if this happened in 2019 and you weren't prepared?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then, administrations have changed as well since 2009. So this would literally be a whole different battlefield. I'm telling you. The one thing I will say that has happened that I'm thankful for, and even though my mom had a pre-existing condition, it wasn't cancer, but she had an obstructed hernia removed. It was bad back in 2005. The hernia actually wrapped itself around her intestines, organs. It was bad. Nowadays medical insurance, they cannot discriminate against you for a pre-existing condition. So that's the one thing I could say has changed. Price-wise, it's like you said, it's through the roof. And, you really just need to. I tell people the one thing you want to do with your medical insurance, it doesn't matter if you have a Medicaid, HMO, Medicare, I would really just sit with the paperwork or just get somebody on the phone and walk through your insurance and see what is covered, see what your deductible is, see what is not covered, what you'd have to cover out of pocket, just so you kind of have an idea. Because a lot of us don't know until it hits the fan, and then you're getting this huge bill, because you haven't met your deductible for the year, for example, or your copay is astronomical now, because that's the one thing that has changed since 2009. Looking at my copay, it's like doubled or tripled since 2009, and that's just for regular medication. I can't imagine things like chemotherapy or what a lot of cancer treatment centers are doing now is a lot of integrative health, which is great. So, for example, yesterday Tara had hours of a vitamin C infusion to help her prep for chemo because it helps lessen the symptoms you experience afterwards. So there's a lot of that happening, which is great. Some insurance companies shy away from covering integrative health, either whole or partially. Some will cover everything. That's why you want to make sure, hey, if I go in the hospital and get this vitamin C infusion, it's going to help me, but is my insurance going to cover it? And if not, how much do I have to pay out of pocket? Just so you know.
It's interesting. A gentleman who used to be on a number of my conversations a number of years ago said this. He said that people need to die with a will, not a bill.
Yes, because too much of that is happening. There's too many bills and no wills. And I was blessed that my mom was an easy person, per se. She had no property, no assets, that type of thing. But there are people dying, unfortunately, with gobs of bills. And let's say you have a lot of children you left behind, they have no will. They have no trust. And a lot of people don't even have what they call a living will. So while you are here and let's say you get sick, how do you want to be taken care of? That's a whole conversation in itself because a lot of people don't have that. They just have it, when they die. But you should write something for when you're alive and let's say you get sick, how you want to be cared for, where you want to go, who your doctor is, and so people have kind of a roadmap to follow and they're not walking in the dark trying to figure this out.
So just to bring this up, I mean, people may or may not know this. When one does not have a will, who gets most of the assets?
So, depending on if you have debt and who you owe that debt to, like I said, my mom was very clear. She actually walked me through that process. I'm really grateful for her. And my mom was a comedian throughout all of this. She had a good spirit. She kept her sense of humor through this. I don't know how she did it, but she told me, she said, the day I die, the creditors are going to call you. They're still going to want money. And I was in disbelief, like, well, if you're gone, doesn't your debt go with you? And she said, no, not really. She said, luckily, I don't have a house or a car or anything of that nature. She said, what they will start doing is they'll drain my assets to pay off things, So she had some credit card bills that, just, 2 or 3. And even the Verizon, I don't want to throw them under the bus, but the Verizon phone company was giving me the blues. They wanted me to pay her last phone bill. I said, well, she's she's been gone and no one's used the phone, and they wanted that $95. I mean, I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm calling you saying my mother is gone. She passed away, and I just want to cut the phone off. I mean, we haven't used it in over a month, and they fought me. They tried to fight me, but we have a cousin in the family who's a retired, now she's a retired judge, but she's a lawyer, attorney, and she said, anyone who has a problem or gives you a problem, you defer them to my chambers. So luckily we had her in our back pocket. Shout out Justice Fern Fisher. She was amazing. And it's so real. I mean, and what's crazy is my mom owed she had a PLUS loan for me to go to college. I didn't even know about this loan. I didn't even know she was doing this. And this PLUS loan was $10,000 that she still owed. They were the nicest people. They wrote the whole thing off in a matter of 24 hours and sent me a sympathy card.
Wow. Very nice.
Capital One credit card was trying to come after me for $700. You know, it was just, so that's what, like you said, this is what happens. This is why you have to have something in place, or at least I knew her debts and who to call. But she, like I said, she was easy. When you have assets, homes, cars, a lot of debt, credit cards, they're going to try and come after the family. You know?
Especially and these things, and I'll just catch up with some comments on the side here. Tati says, throw them under the bus. How dare they? Shannon says, that's ridiculous. Shame on them. You have a visitor behind you, by the way. Tati says, that's when you blow these people up on social media. Tony saying, if one doesn't have a will, everything goes to the spouse. If not, then the eldest of the children are supposed to get it.
Yes, it goes, yeah. Then you have the family where it's split, where, let's say, someone got remarried, you got stepchildren involved, but yes, it is supposed to be deferred to, I mean, the eldest. In my case, that'd be me. I was her only biological child. So everything fell on me. Even my grandmother and aunt couldn't even help me make these calls to these creditors. I had to be the one.
How important is it that our elders have life insurance?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's as important as a paycheck, okay? It is. And and I tell people it's never too early to get life insurance. You want to get it early because that's when the rates are cheaper and you want to lock in your rates. And you want to be careful of the kind of insurance you have. And this is a whole other topic, and I actually have someone who can get on the show with you and talk to you for an hour about
I would love that.
Insurance, and she's excellent. She's helping me kind of refigure some things out, talking about whole life, universal life, term life. What do you want to do? What do you want to get? And then there's a lot of benefits that people are missing out on. They're just getting the life insurance that just basically has the death benefit. And that's it. They don't know about other benefits, like you can get dividends and, get investments and help, so your insurance can help you out while you're here. They have living benefits within some insurance policies now. So while you're alive and you're going through a stage of illness, you can tap into your living benefits portion of your life insurance to help you out financially. So, but it is crucial. If anybody is on this talk tonight that does not have life insurance, I can point you to someone, but you want to definitely look into it. And you want to look into whole or universal life, because term life is exactly what it is term. It has an expiration date. So you have been pouring money into this term life insurance for years, and by the age of 80, they will completely cut you off. And that's it. So you have paid for years and years, and your premium keeps going up every few years. So by the time you're almost 80, you're paying sometimes $500 a month to keep this term life policy that's going away when you turn 80. It's a lot to know, but you definitely want to have, even if it's just something small, not too.
But now Tachi just brought up a good question. Who can afford this? And that's a whole thing about this taking care of the elders. It's not getting any cheaper. And a lot of people don't have that income, let alone the time, but the income.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one thing my mom, when I was a little girl, she sat me at the table when this is when she got life insurance. I didn't know it lapsed, of course, but she got me life insurance as well. And when I turned 21, we turned it over completely to me, and she walked me through the process. And my rate was incredibly cheap because I had the policy since I was like 8. So I had that rate. It might have gone up a little bit, but it really didn't go up much over the years. So, and the one thing about life insurance where I really wish they could do something about this, because life insurance is private, they can deny you for pre-existing conditions.
Yes.
And it really, I got denied a few times because, and that's a whole other conversation about Lyme disease. And I had to check the box other, and now sometimes on life insurance, they actually have Lyme disease as an option. And the minute I checked it, I already knew. And it was one particular company, and they just shot me down. I barely turned the application, and I got a denial letter like a week later. But they have that right because they're private. They're not regulated like medical insurance.
Right. Well, we're going to, and Tachi's saying shame on them. Your fellow soror saying shame on them. As we start to wind down, because as I said, you had a visitor a few minutes ago.
He's good. He's good. He'll be fine. But there were just a couple of things I want to definitely tell people.
Please do.
Being a caregiver, it's not easy. I tell people I was honored to be my mom's caregiver. It was an honor to take care of her. I look at all the stuff that she put into me, all the time and money and and all the problems, and so to turn around and have to take care of her, it was not an option, but it was an honor. And I tell people, going back to making sure you're taking care of yourselves, it's a must. Self-care is a must while you're a caregiver. Like I said, I'm a health and wellness coach, and I had a couple of clients that were caregivers. And that was all of our sessions were based around how can they care for themselves more, even if it's just taking a walk, or it's taking an exercise class, or, going out to eat, or just eating regularly. Okay, because like I said, I had stopped eating. I forgot to eat. I was just ripping and running, taking care of my mom and trying to take care of my home and working and trying to pay rent. And I'm like, did I eat lunch today? Did I have breakfast? So just making sure you're taking care of your whole self, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And it is a balance. It is a challenge to do that, but it is a must. And don't be afraid to reach out for help. If you need to talk, then talk it out. Do not keep all this in, because you'll go nuts. You will go certifiably crazy. And there's a lot of free help out there, support groups, individual counseling, you name it. Uh-oh, I lost you. I can't hear you.
No, parents are living longer these days on average.
Oh, yeah. Look at my grandmother.
There you go. And baby boomers are living longer. So this is something, and I think we chatted about this offline in the past. Whenever I get a chance to share with a group of young people, I say, you may think I'm crazy, but someone in here who's like, you may think you're a teenager now, but one day you're going to have to take care of a parent or some parents.
Yep. Yeah. Yep, you're right. And it might come sooner.
Exactly.
I met a caregiver. I went to the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition conference last April, and I met a mother there who survived. She was stage 3, stage 4 ovarian cancer, and she was in remission, thank goodness. She introduced me to her caregivers, and one in particular, because her son was still in college. That's how young her kids were when she was diagnosed with cancer. Her caregiver was her daughter, and she was only in her mid-20s. And she said, I did not anticipate this at all. I'm just graduating college. I'm just getting my life in order. And me and my mom are supposed to be having fun. And here I am, in the hospital with her. while she's going through rounds of chemo or IV infusions to help her out or rehab. And I mean, when I met the daughter, she was still only in her late 20s, but she said she became her mom's caregiver at like 24, 25. So unfortunately, some of us as caregivers are becoming younger. And that's the one trend I'm seeing, is there are a lot of caregivers who are not your typical 60, 70 years old and, oh, my mom is in her 90s and now I'm going to take care of her finally. No, they're in their 20s and 30s taking care of their parents.
That's scary.
It's very frightening because you're still trying to figure out your life, let alone. And she said she got him, and she said, I'm a lot more mature because of it. I learned a lot.
Obviously.
She said, I got my own things in order. She was the one saying, I got myself a life insurance policy, made sure my brother had one. You know, because here we are, you know, the brother was maybe in his teens when the mom was diagnosed, in college. You know, so it's something that we don't want to think about it, like I said, but we have to have these conversations with our elders. It's almost imperative.
Very, very true. If anyone has any questions, we're going to be winding it down in the next few moments. So if you have any final questions, comments, you can jump into the Get Vocal room or put something on any one of the platforms that we're sharing this conversation on. Do you feel that there's more awareness of this subject than when you were going through it? And do you feel that though it's being handled better by caregivers?
Mm-hmm. I will say it's out there more. I'm thankful for the church I go to. They actually have a comfort ministry. It's a whole ministry that deals with grief. That's who I went to when I was a caregiver. I got counseling through them as well. Everything was free, and they openly talk about it at church. You know, they actually have panel discussions about it. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to encourage the younger people to come. It's like you were saying, it's more middle-aged, older people coming to these conversations, but there's not a lot of, you know, not so much teens, but just 20s, the millennials. They're missing from these conversations. And I know it's something you don't want to talk about. You don't want to think about taking care of your mom or dad or loved one and they're only in their 50s and 60s, but we have to. And then what I'm also, you know, learning and listening to people are, some might only be 17, 18 years younger than their parents. Some are 15, 16 years younger than their parents because their parents had them very young. So here you are, a caregiver, and your mom is not even that old, but you're not that old either, you know, or your father. So that gap is getting smaller, unfortunately.
Right. Have you ever, well, I guess you did share earlier that young lady that's in her 20s taking care of her mom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she said she was about 24, 25. And she said her mom, it took about 2-3 plus years, and we all hugged and cried together because her mother was at this conference in remission. They thought she was going to die, and she says, no, I have 2 kids. I can't go anywhere. And she willed herself to live, and thank goodness, you know, the treatments worked for her.
Great. Well, we'll end it on that. I'd like to say thank you for taking time out of your positive, productive schedule to share with us.
You're very welcome.
And I know in the next few minutes, little man is going to be coming in, so I'm gonna cut it. Maybe we have to get him on again when the time is right.
I know.
if people want to find out more information about you, about what you do, how can they do that?
Sure. My website is serenawills.com. Says SerenaWills.com. And there you can find me. I have a Facebook account, facebook.com/Serena Wills. On Twitter and YouTube, it's different. You'll probably see me as Divine Right. So for those who may see me in Media Scope, like, yeah, it's me. You put 2 and 2 together. I'm Divine Right. So VINEWRYTE, and that's on YouTube and Twitter. And I'm also on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been very supportive. I post a lot of articles and links on there. Like after we do our shows, Dr. Vibe, and I've been advertising it through LinkedIn. There's a lot of views that are coming through that platform. So on LinkedIn, I'm Serena Wills. You can find me on there.
Well, that is fantastic. I'm just putting down all these informations on the side. So there's how you can get in touch with her. I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning The Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. I'll do it a little bit different. I'm going to thank everyone who had time to stop by. Valencia, Big Bad Brad, Karma Ritz Kellogg, of course, Dr. Tachi, Tony, Roger Dundas, who was here earlier, Shannon, Dre. If I don't think I forgot anybody else on the Get Vocal platform. And then on Periscope, I know U4Sight was in for a bit. Cheryl, I believe Cheryl Willis, I think, had stopped by from Toronto. And and also before we came on, Fraser from Scotland.
No, that was a blessing. Yes, thank you.
Fantastic. I am, as I said, Dr. Vibe, host and producer of this craziness called The Dr. Vibe Show, home of Epic Conversations, place of Epic Conversations. If you want to watch replays of conversations like this, you can go to the Get Vocal platform. You can also go to YouTube. If you're on YouTube, go to the search engine, put in the space, DR period space, VIB space, SHOW, and you'll catch replays of about 500 Epic Conversations. If you want to listen to replays of my Epic Conversations audio-wise, the best place to go is the drvibeshow.com, or you can go to Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. You can hear selected audio replays at WJMS Radio out of New York City, Mile High Radio out of Denver, Colorado, and Amazon Alexa. You can catch her too. I am a certified empowerment coach, president and CEO of Express Your Vibe Coaching Communications. If you'd like a complimentary session, go to my website, go to the top and click on Contact Dr. Vibe, and you can send me a message via email or audio right from my website. You can also reach out to me via email address, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. You can also follow me and contact me via Twitter at drvibeshow.com. I am a brand ambassador for the only online magazine dedicated to African Americans in food, wine, and travel. The name of the magazine is Cuisine Noir Magazine. Website address is cuisinenoirmag.com. If you're a business or entrepreneur and you like some media promotion for your business, product, or service, I operate a service called Getting Media Promotion, where I provide media promotion for businesses and entrepreneurs so they can elevate their business, product, or service. So there we go. And what we like to do at the end here, 4 last things. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Next up, sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. And finally, 2 last things, block assumptions, and then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. I'd like to thank everyone who watched this live and on the replay. And Serena, do send my love to Tara when you communicate with her next. And we are patiently waiting for her to come back.
Yeah, I'm going to text her as soon as we get off and let her know how it went.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And we have more conversations coming up. Just follow me either on Twitter or on the Get Vocal platform. God bless, peace be well, and walk good.
God bless.